If you were to die tomorrow, would you be content with the life you've had? What would you want to do before the end? What do you wish you could change, do differently? Most people would say that they have a lot of living they need to do between now and life's end. They get caught up in their everyday responsibilities and forget to actually live life. They work, feed their children, hang out with their pets, do Pilates, relax, repeat. Well, when I get absolutely mentally wrecked, I remind myself to take a vacation. I claw myself away from my desk. Then, just once I'm finally starting to relax, I have to get back on the train and do it all again. If we're not careful, midlife can become pretty monotonous. We've checked off all those adult boxes if we're lucky. Things like car, check, home, check, family, check. Whatever it is you thought you wanted in life that would bring happiness, check. But you're still left with that empty space where meaning or purpose should lie. You should be happy, but you keep knocking up against an invisible wall. Why does this seem like a never-ending cycle of searching for meaning? If you're looking for more meaning in your life, this episode is for you. What even is a meaningful life? And how do you get a life of meaning? That is the elusive question women always want to know. Those of us that tend to be overthinkers, especially, often spend a lot of time going inward to find meaning. We wonder, why are we suffering? We go round and round looking for solutions inside a very messy and negative mind. We repeat the problems over and over, we talk about them, and that's as far as we get. In mainstream cultures, we're a very individualistic society. We are me-focused, not we-focused. We are no longer born, live, and die in the same town or state as our immediate and extended families. I left home when I was 18 and never moved back. We are disconnected from humans in real, deep connections. We're so busy working and earning money to keep up with our lifestyles and inflation that we don't have the time to be out in our communities, doing simple hobbies, or other than desk scrolling, of course. We are surrounded by negative news and isolated from each other. We focus on ourselves, our circumstances, our problems, but meaning is more often to be found in looking outward of ourselves. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust concentration camp survivor, said that one can create meaningful experiences by actualizing 3 core values: creative values, experiential values, and attitudinal values. The first area he talks about is the fact that we can find meaning by actualizing creative values. So these are realized when a person uses thoughts to create a new reality. This could be through work, a hobby, or helping people. By following your deepest desire to become successful in your career, you can find great meaning. This is a real shout out to working in a field you're passionate about or doing a job you're passionate in a field you may be less passionate about. Bonus points if you have both. This is why our identities are often so closely tied to what we do for work. This is often one of the first things we want to know about someone. What do you do for work? Because it tells us a lot about them. At least that's what we assume. If someone is a writer, we assume that writing must be the person's passion, and they must find meaning in it. Otherwise, why would you do it? An artist surely must find meaning in their work, but what about the rest of us with more regular jobs? For example, do regulatory people enjoy regulatory so much that they just had to work in that area? Ideally, we can find meaning in regular jobs, but we may have to look a bit deeper. As a coach, it's pretty straightforward. I like helping people work toward goals and to create transformation through strategy, thought work, and massive action. But as a corporate educator, I have to look a little deeper into the various parts of my work to find meaning. Nobody says at when they're thinking about what they're going to do as an adult for a job, says, "Oh, I want to be a corporate person." What does that even mean, right? Well, for me, I enjoy designing learning experiences. I enjoy mentoring employees to develop their skills in their careers. I enjoy working in a field that's innovative and helps people heal their bodies. But it's easy to forget what it is that we enjoy in our work and did actually choose when we let things we don't enjoy so much cloud our vision. The negative thoughts get in the way when we believe that life should be meaningful, enjoyable all of the time. I mean, work is called work for a reason. It's not called fun, but it can be fun. The more positive our experiences are in creating something outside of ourselves, the more desire we have to create, the more dedication we have to create, the more fun we have creating in line with our passions, the more quality our results are, the more we find meaning. Here's a quick self-assessment. Do you enjoy the work or career you do? Do you enjoy the field you work in? What are the tasks, experiences, or reasons that made you choose your work? If there are few experiences within your work that allow for you to create within your own areas of interest, passion, or desire, then you can't really expect to find much meaning in your work. And that may be okay with you. Maybe you look at work as something just to get a paycheck, and you find meaning elsewhere. But for many of us, that's not true. You could do the same self-check for other realities you've created in your life. What hobbies do you find passion in? Do you volunteer or give back in some way? What is it about those realities that you find meaning in? Maybe you have no hobbies. You don't give back in your communities at all. There might be a hint of ways that you could inject meaning into your life by looking at the ways you work, spend your free time, or interact with your community in a way where you can create a reality there. The next area of life we can find meaning is in how we actualize our experiential values, experiences. This is realized when a person experiences something, encounters something or someone outside of themselves, like in a relationship or meaningful exchanges with other human beings. These are the relationships that we surround ourselves with. The people in our lives significantly impact our lives. Are we in positive relationships with our partners, children, family, friends? Do we surround ourselves with community, or are we in isolation? Are we reaching out to others to serve them, or do we only connect when we need something? When we look at our social circles, how broad they are, but more importantly, how deep they are. If we have a shallow relationship, well, we're likely to find shallow meaning there, unless we're shallow ourselves and don't mind that, of course. In that case, maybe we find meaning in networking. Relationships are like plants. If you don't water them, relationships do not thrive. If you don't talk nicely, even plants wilt. If you leave them stranded out in the sun too long, they'll shrivel up and die. Midlife can be isolating in the sense that we don't have a lot of time to pursue our own friends, travel desires, social pursuits, because we have people and responsibilities to take care of. It can be stressful. Which relationships in your life do you find meaning in? Which relationships bring you negativity, maybe negative thoughts, and actually detract from finding meaning in your life? Maybe you're putting all of your toxic energy somewhere into a relationship you're hoping to improve, and it's ruining the rest of your experience. Which relationships drain your life energy? Which relationships don't bring any value at all? These are all questions to help you examine the state of your current relationships and experience to explore the meaning entrenched there. Perhaps you find you're lacking in meaning, you're lacking in relationships. This is a guide point in figuring out how to inject more meaning into your life. The third area in which we find meaning is by actualizing attitudinal values. So these are values realized through exhibiting positive attitude, thoughts, beliefs when we're faced with challenging life circumstances. So we've all heard stories like Frankel's, where humans overcome terrible life atrocities, abuse, accidents, only to come back strong enough to share their learnings with the world, to bring hope and inspiration to others. If these individuals can overcome devastating circumstances with positivity, hope, gratitude, and inspiration, why is it so hard for many of us to do the same? Well, negative thinking is like a slow poison that permeates the system. It's debilitating. But as our thinking tends to deteriorate over time, we don't even notice that we're sick with negativity. By that time, the source of it is unclear. It's only the side effects, the negative ones of the poison, that start to tell us that there's a problem. We develop sickness symptoms, which, if not stopped, at some point may even end up killing us. Negative thoughts lead to negative feelings. Negative feelings cause us to engage in unhealthy relationships or to have negative action. We engage in experiences that stunt our growth. Negativity, as it overtakes our everyday actions, influences our ability to create positive experiences, healthy relationships, and to create meaningful realities, whether it be at work or out there in the world. Instead of seeing hope, possibility, gratitude, and desire for growth, we get tired, we grow weary and cynical, sometimes even depressed. We focus on negative thoughts and feelings that we've trained our minds to believe are true explanations and excuses for why we aren't happy, why we aren't moving forward, why we just can't win. But the source of the problem is actually our attitudes, our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs that we have created around our difficult circumstances. When's the last time you expressed gratitude for the life you've built around you, for the choices you've made? When have you expressed gratitude for the people around you? When have you felt positive about the possibilities for your future? Are you a solution-oriented person or someone who constantly goes round and round about her problems? So, what can you do now? I've broken down the areas where you can find and create meaning in your life. So, 1, through the realities we create. 2, in the relationships and human interactions out there. And 3, through positive attitude, thought, and belief in hardship or challenging circumstances. A few things to remember as you go forward. Life is a journey. It's not a one-way ticket to happiness. So expect less and embrace that journey. Many of us did all of the things we thought would make us happy, yet here we are, wondering how to find meaning after living up decades of life. We expect to find happiness at the end of some rainbow, but life is more like a journey filled with highs and lows, peaks and valleys, great times, good times, and unavoidably hard times. My goal is to weave an adventurous tale. I want my life to be a saga. I want to look back on the many different chapters, plot twists, and unexpected passages. I want to see myself as the main character who did some absolutely wild shit. I want to laugh, cry, clap for her, and most of all, feel proud of her accomplishments and her audacity. When you look back on your life, what experiences do you want her or you to have experienced? If you continue on your path today, will you be content with your life experiences? Or will you wish you'd done more, lived more, become more, enjoyed more? I don't need life to have one spectacular meaning, because I don't even think it's possible. What I want is that the experiences I have along the way to be meaningful and to honor them with gratitude at each step of the way. And then when the meaning doesn't feel strong anymore, worthwhile, or even fulfilling, I don't need to feel sad, frustrated, or stuck. I just know it's time for the next chapter in my journey. Moving on to the next peak and the next valley, again and again. Look outside of your self-absorbed mind. Now that I've checked off most of the typical boxes for life, I want to spend more energy serving others. For me, that means helping others get unstuck in their lives, to realize their potential, and offering inspiration where I can. My son's getting old enough now that I'm not completely exhausted as a working parent. I realize not all of us can say the same. We don't all have the same capacity to look for meaning outside of ourselves. Some of us feel completely buried in the responsibilities of just our day to day. In those cases, attitude and perspective is important to maintaining a sense of meaning and purpose in those areas. Maybe you're at home with your family, with small children, right? Finding meaning there. In my own difficult times when I was a single parent, whether I was facing financial hardship, overwhelm, just feeling isolated, or frustration, I've always reminded myself that I choose my situation. Parenting, especially, can feel like a storm we are weathering at times. But I look at this as a limited period of my life, about 18 years, where I get to experience my child and our bond. I find meaning in that relationship and gratitude, despite how hard it is sometimes. I want to look back on these years down the road and cherish them fully. I want to remember them. I want to think fondly about them. It also reminds me that down the road, when I'm looking back, I'm going to be looking back from a place where I may be alone. My child will be out living his own life, and that makes me change my tune very quickly. I want to feel grateful for these years that we've had together. No more feeling sorry for myself. When he's gone, I'll have more time to pursue other personal pursuits and find meaning in other new ways. Maybe I'll work remote and live on a cruise ship. Anything's possible. Assess the state of meaning in your own life now. So let's take a look at what you have in terms of meaning and where you could find meaning through personal changes. So you can make a 3-column table with 2 rows. Your table column headers will be create, relate, and attitude. So the goal is to find areas where you do have meaning in each of these columns, and then to identify opportunities to find meaning in each of these columns. So for example, in the first column, create. In what areas of life do you already find meaning through creative experiences? So like work, hobbies, external life. Right? Go ahead and list them there. Then below that, in a separate row, list out where you could create more meaning. So for example, in my create column, in the have meaning section, I'd put down helping people as a coach, creative writing, professional development for my direct reports. And then in the find meaning section, I would put things like spend more time writing on subjects I'm passionate about, do some volunteer coaching, and play pickleball rather than just thinking about it. So it can be professional, it can be personal, right? But just finding opportunities where you can find more meaning is a first start to getting more meaning. Then you can do the same thing for relate and attitudes, right? In the relate column, you're going to be focusing on ways that you can relate and experience the world and find meaning. And then for attitudes, obviously, attitudes, thoughts, feelings, beliefs. Once you have your table filled out, circle 1 or 2 areas that you can prioritize to find more meaning in your life. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If I can be of help, reach out to me for a strategy call at theboldlife.coach. Also, follow me on Instagram at theboldlife.coach. I'd love to hear about what changes you intend to make to find more meaning in your life.